love that song. And I love that we're here for this Sunday celebration service, September 20th.
Whew.
Wow.
Moving on.
And Reverend Maggie and I were looking at this month, and we saw the wonderful traditions of the high holy days of the Judaic faith. And yesterday was the beginning of Rosh Hashanah.
Mm-hmm.
And so for 10 days, there's this time of forgiveness, of repentance. And we're going to look at that and see how that is brought forth in our own unity tradition. So our talk title today is Forgiveness, the Gateway to Healing.
Yes. I love that we are bringing in parallel the spirit and the practice of Rosh Hashanah as being part of the foundation of Christianity, of course, was Judaism. And this is 10 days that leads up to Yom Kippur, which is the Jewish New Year. So as we move through our service today, listen for the similarities. We're at a time in our consciousness and evolution where we really are becoming aware at a heightened level of our oneness. And we will see and hear so much that reflects back to us our practice here within the unity traditions. Starting out, we wanted to share this wisdom from Rebecca Missel. She is an American educator in Hebrew studies. She says that for many Jews, Rosh Hashanah and Teshuvah, repentance, are an annual reminders of the possibilities to renew relationships with God and with each other. And what a beautiful way to do that than to just breathe and pause. Take in a reflection all of the movement and growing and stretching that we have done at a soul level in 1 year's time. When we do that and we pause and search back in our memory bank, we of course find things that we wish we hadn't done. We wish we hadn't said. And that's because we've grown past that. So we have the opportunity right here and right now to recognize what is no longer serving us, what beliefs, what repentance we need to walk through, asking for forgiveness or extending forgiveness, and re-strengthen, reinstill our current day faith with God and with each other. Because in unity, we believe that we are all divine, and so we are reflecting God in skin in each and every interaction. So this is a beautiful time to just clear the slate and give ourselves a little bit of credit for the work that we've done in the last year. Wouldn't you say so?
I do. And I love how Rosh Hashanah, this time is a New Year's time. And so much in the same way that we end the year by doing burning bowl and the white stone ceremony and all of that, this time of harvest, this time of renewal of the earth, and also planting the seeds for what will be as the leaves are going to drop and we go into that little time of hibernation. This wisdom of, as we do forgive, as we do let go of the shackles of that, we become open to each other and become open to our knowing of God. And this tradition, this Jewish tradition, Rosh Hashanah is always hearkened forward by the shofar. Now the shofar is this beautiful instrument that's made from usually a ram's horn that's been all cleared out, and they're gifted individuals that will blow the shofar as a way of calling in the new year, a way of dispelling that which we do not want anymore. So here's a taste of the shofar. So there's rich tradition in the Jewish faith for honoring this time. I love that there's 10, this is the High Holy Days. And in this, we can adopt the High Holy Days for ourselves because as that song said, I am free, and I'm limited. And the reason I'm free and I'm unlimited because I'm willing to choose forgiveness.
Indeed. And we're moving into Charles Fillmore sharing his wisdom, saying that true repentance is always followed by forgiveness, which is a complete wiping out of error thought from consciousness and a full deliverance from the inharmony that error thought has produced. When we take this time, really any time, but a nice 10-day stretch to recognize and integrate fully the practice of forgiveness and forgive ourselves for not forgiving, we are aligning the two polarities of our individual existence, and that is to be human and to be divine. And I love what we're saying here is that we're letting go. We're releasing those things that are no longer serving us and taking each step, which we can do any time of the year. We just have a spotlight this time to really focus on realigning the power of our thoughts and realigning in truth, which is contributing to the raising of that energetic vibration in our consciousness, which is inevitably contributing to the elevation of consciousness on a large global level. And that's what we are. In Unity, we're always looking for that self-actualization. And I don't know about you, but I want to know that the work that I'm doing is significant, that what I'm doing is clearing my channel to receive my highest good, show up with a full cup and contribute to your highest good. And to your highest good. And if we can all do that as a collective, man, we will just be stepping into the new year at a whole new level, ready to receive our greatest good.
I love that. And it's no accident that we're just 2 days away from the vernal equinox. So the beginning of, in the northern hemisphere, our autumn season, where day and night are the same duration. And in that place, it's a good place to set a foundation of where are we? The temperature's getting a little cooler, so we're not so focused on trying to stay out of the heat or get as much done while we can. We can look at forgiveness as a way of moving away from the human error thought. That's going to happen. I'm going to have thoughts of criticism and judgment and fear. It's just part of being human. And within that, if I choose to, I can shake up that inharmony. And I can open myself to that divine self. Because within that divine self of God, there is no lack. There is no fear. There is no judgment. It's love.
Absolutely.
And as a spiritual being, I have both of those experiences. And this is one of our tenets of unity, is that we can always choose forgiveness. And isn't that also our master teacher has said that forgiveness is, there's very few things we have recorded that Jesus actually taught. And one of them is forgiveness and its importance. So really, forgiveness is
the gateway to healing.
the gateway to healing. And so let's bring in the wisdom of William L. Fisher. He was a Unity minister and author. You must let the human self of you so merge with the divine self that your forgiveness is as natural with you as your breathing.
Quite the challenge.
It is a challenge, but when we can experience that sweetness, what we call oneness, now it's a process of practice. I haven't gotten there where I'm always merged with my oneness with God, but it's a worthy practice to continue taking a step in that direction. And then, since I'm human, I often take a step that's not in that direction. Or I have a thought of judgment or criticism that's not in alignment with that union. And all I need do is forgive that thought, to change that thought, to change that thinking. And if we can so bring a commitment that our top priority is our oneness with God, and we operate from in oneness with God, how am I going to observe this person who's just cut me off on the freeway? How am I going to observe the activity of what's happening with the people that I live with? And we can still operate in a knowing of correction, like stepping on the brake and not running into the car that cut us off, or not saying, "You stupid idiot," when our partner says something that we don't agree with. We can just say, "Tell me more. I don't quite understand that." We can be loving. And this is part of the human journey. And it's part of our unity journey, because we say there's only one power and one presence. If there is only one power and one presence in the universe, then what power and presence are we with? That very same one. And when we operate from that knowing, then we truly can adopt forgiveness as a practice we do every day. I love how this connection with breathing, because in a way, we inhale and we have to let go. We have to exhale. And as we live, we forgive. We live and we forgive. And we live and we forgive. So that our forgiveness can be so natural to us that we do it every day in any way.
I really like what you said about the timing of Rosh Hashanah and this discussion that we're having around forgiveness, in being that it lines up with the change of the season. You know, I've seen it all over social media, like the leaves are getting ready to teach us how to let go. Yes, and when the temperature drops and we get more rain in Central Texas, or whatever the climate indicator is from wherever you're tuning in, I want to immediately throw on a sweater, get a blanket, and put on a pot of soup. And that keeps me inside. That tells me it's time to go inward. And this forgiveness practice for me continues to be most important and most focused right here. I mean, sure, things come up, people cut you off in traffic, or someone doesn't answer an email, or, you know, whatever. And I'm much easier and quicker to let live, right? Forgive and let live. But I cannot get away from the broken record of the committee in my mind that tells me that I've already made that mistake. I should have known better. I should have done better. I shouldn't have said that. I mean, it's the shoulda committee. And I have got to take this time to really just forgive myself for being human, for saying things that I didn't mean, for cussing when I shouldn't, for whatever it may be that comes across in our full-on human experience. And it is still for me, my angst is just letting it go and letting myself off the hook. So be it 10 minutes a day, 10 days out of the year, or again and again, I have got to really start to take care of the fundamental foundation that is Maggie. If I can't do it for myself, I have no business trying to do it for somebody else. And we have wisdom from J. Sig Paulson and Rick Dickerson, saying when you hold resentment towards someone or something, you are bound to that person or condition by an emotional link that is stronger than steel. The practice of forgiveness is the only way to dissolve that link. This slapped me in the face. My dad would say it smacked me in the face like a wet squirrel. It was like, oh, if I cannot let you go and forgive you your transgressions that I'm judging myself as a transgression, then I am reinforcing that energetic connection stronger than steel. So if there is no other incentive for us to practice this deep spiritual practice of forgiveness, it may just be to let those conditions, those people in our lives that keep serving up drama, keep serving up pain, keep serving up those opportunities where my committee jumps in board and says, well, you shouldn't have done that, but they push those buttons unnecessarily. We know we've grown past it. We know we are stretched beyond that, and still that person is in our lives. If you're questioning, as I have, why that neighbor keeps doing that thing, then it may be just the right time. The prescription is forgiveness. Forgiveness will also release those tendrils and that connection, and where that isn't being poked and prodded, lo and behold, we will have healing.
Absolutely. And I know how that steel righteousness can be, because for years I had that about my parents or my brother, or about anyone who done me wrong, and how my tenacious hold on that resentment was only affecting me, was affecting my health and wholeness. They weren't even aware of it at all. There's a wonderful story that comes, it's a Zen lesson. And it's the story of two monks. One's older and one's younger. And they're taking a trek into the village. And part of that involves traversing the river. And when they get to the river, it was moving quite along. There's some rush, and there was a young woman who said, please help me across the river. I can't get across the river by myself. Now, the two monks knew that they had a vow to never touch a woman. And the older of the two monks bent down, picked up the woman, and carried her across the river and set her on the other side. And when the younger one caught up to him and they began to walk, after an hour, they hadn't said anything to each other. After 2 hours, they hadn't said anything to her. And after 3 hours, finally the younger monk said, I can't believe you carried that woman across the river when we have a vow to never touch a woman. And the older monk said, dear brother, I merely carried the woman across the river and set her down. But you've carried her these 3 hours the whole way. And isn't it true? Isn't that how we do? We'll hold on to an idea thinking that our feeling about it is somehow moving into the consciousness of the person that we're having that strong thought, and we're going to bend their mind and their heart knowing that they should have such regret because they done wrong. When really that holding is our captive. That's how we're captive and not free. And all we need do is to practice forgiveness. And forgiveness is a practice. We forgive, and then how many times do we need to forgive? Might be 70 times 7. And as we forgive and practice that forgiveness, then we are free. Mm-hmm. And we're freed up from not continually attached to our resentments. And then, as a way to conclude this talk, from this wisdom of Rosh Hashanah, we look at Unity Minister Jim Roseberry, also a wonderful author. To forgive is human. To love is divine. Hating makes forgiving inevitable, while loving means never having to forgive. So therein lies this, if we just make it our purpose to merge with our divine self, aligning our spiritual and our human self. When we're loving, we're divine. And there's nothing we need forgive if we're loving. Where we can choose to forgive, to practice this forgiveness and let go. It is a gateway to our healing. It's a great gateway to our wholeness. It is a gateway to our freedom.
Absolutely. I love being human. It's good. There's so much. We talked about this earlier in the week. It is like a giant playground. And everywhere I turn, I am learning a new lesson. One lesson that remains constant, that we cannot escape from the absolute core of our being, is that we are an infinite expression of love. And we still play. We still take each other's ball on the playground, or step on each other's toes, or yell when I'm right here and can hear you. If we can take a moment to return to love, the essence of our beingness, once a day, once an hour, once a minute, we are growing that intention and accumulating the energy that is associated with it, and sharing that as part of our human journey. And if that's all my soul does on this path, I'm going to check a big fat winner in that box.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the water.